Okay, so in this session we are supposed to discuss about the intrusive igneous rocks. Mainly, we are supposed to discuss about the various forms of intrusive igneous rocks. Okay, so forms in the sense we come to know about the various crystallization, solidification of magma from the chamber. So right from the fissures, dikes, sills, so everything, all the things where the magma consolidates is considered as the forms of various igneous rock. So first is they are commonly observed form of plutonic, that is intrusive in the sense which is formed inside the crust or it is just above the magma chamber, such things. It may be these dikes, sills, laccolith, bismullith, phacolith, lopolith, then we can say it is volcanic necks, then there are batholith and cnonolith. So all these are the main intrusive igneous forms. Intrusive igneous forms in the sense it is below the surface. All these forms are below the surface or it is present inside the rock. Okay. Yes. Next. Yeah. Based on the attitudes of the associated country rock, this can be either concordant or discordant forms. So mainly the forms of igneous rocks can be differentiated or it is can be described as either concordant or discordant forms. Okay, so concordant forms it is in the sense same position or it keeps on no change. Okay, concordant forms. Then usually this laccolith, they are concordant forms of igneous rocks. Okay, now let us see what is it. Yeah, first of all, it says about the dike. Dikes and sills are the most common forms of the intrusive igneous bodies. So, why these dikes and sills are most common means everywhere, all in almost all the igneous bodies, will be able to see this dikes and sills. It is very common. Okay, so these are the very common things, and by the next image, we will be seeing how this dikes looks like. Okay. Yes. And what are the basic characteristics of this thing? So dikes, they are usually discordant bodies. Discordant bodies, it may be of vertically, it may be of steeply, it may be of inclined or whatever it may be. That usually this dikes forms in some cracks, fissures or something. Okay. In such areas, these dikes are formed. Say for example, you can have this. Yeah, you may have some points like this. Yeah, you can fractures, joints or planes. So along these planes or something, these dikes are formed. Okay, sills are also a part of these things and also is very common to all this intrusive bodies. Then what happens is that they cut across the bedding of the rocks in which they intrude. Yes, if suppose it is intruding in a bedding plane or it is intruding to a rock, so it will cut across the bedding of the rock. Sometimes it may be horizontally aligned rock means it will cut vertically. Then vertical to steeply inclined and sheet-like body extensive in lateral dimension. Yeah. Then next main characteristics of this dikes or sills are they are vertical to steeply inclined and they are a sheet-like body. They are always a sheet-like body. So in dikes and sills, what all thing that we can see is that they are discordant bodies and also they cut across the bedding of the rocks. They cut across the bedding of the rocks in which they intrude. If they are intruding to a particular kind of rock, they will cut across the bedding. Then the third point is that vertical to steeply inclined. They are vertical to steeply inclined. Then and they also looks like sheet-like. They are usually sheet-like things. Okay. Then the thickness vary widely from an inch up to hundreds of feet. So how much large it is. That is, thickness vary widely from an inch up to hundreds of feet. It may differ from inches to hundreds of feet. Then it is injected through fractures, joints, weak planes. If there is some fractures or something present in a rock, means this magma will be injected. It will be injected through these fissures, joints or cracks, and such dikes, sills, such forms are usually formed. Okay. Yes. Then quartz dolerite dikes of Midland. Here you can see the image of a dike. This is how a dike will intrude into a rock. Here you can see there are three layers of the rock. So this is how a dike will intrude into a rock. Okay. Then quartz dolerite dikes of Midland Valley of Scotland are more about 50 to 60 kilometer long and up to 30 kilometer thick. Few places. Okay, this is actually an example given. Okay, this is a more 50 to 60 kilometer long dike. It's a quartz dolerite dike. Okay, so it's very important. This quartz dolerite dikes are always important. So this quite an example which serves for this thing. Okay. Then this you can see a mafic dike. This one. This dark colored portion, this is a mafic dike. This is how it looks like in the field. This is how we used to draw in the paper, and this is how this dikes looks like in the field. You can see this dark colored portion is moving upward. This is the dike present here, and this is a mafic dike. Okay. Then next is lambrophoric rocks. Lambrophoric rocks are also, that is, usually kimberlites. That is, lambrophore dikes are closely related to western and eastern margins of Kadapa basin of the eastern Dharwar craton of India. This is an example. That is lambrophoric rocks. That is, they are broadly represented by kimberlites. Then these are mainly located in the western and the eastern margins of the Kadapa region. Okay, Kadapa and Dharwar craton of India. It's a very important example that you have to keep in mind. Yeah. The next is sills. Sills are a relatively thin tabular sheet-like body that penetrates parallel to the bedding planes. So, how this will be parallel. See, when the dikes moves cutting across this bedding plane, in the case of sills, means sills is a tabular sheet-like body which penetrates parallel to the bedding planes. So, sills are more parallel, whatever the bedding plane, but it will be parallel to that. Okay, then next, it is laterally, it may extend up to hundreds of kilometers to 10 kilometer in width. So this is somewhat, that is, it may extend, lateral extension, it is hundreds of kilometers to 10 kilometer width it will usually have. Then lateral extent mainly depends on the hydrostatic force. Yeah, it's very important how this lateral extent, or what is the factor behind this lateral extent of this sills, is that it is mainly due to the hydrostatic force and also temperature, then the degree of fluid or fluidity, or we can say just the viscosity, how much fluid it is, how much viscous it is, then weight of overlaying sediment column. That's also very important, the weight of the overlaying sediments. It is also a big factor. Okay, yes. And third point is that the basic magma are more fluid than acidic magma. We have basic magma as well as we have acidic magma. So, when what happens is that this basic magma, this acidic magma, basic magmas are more fluid than when we compare to this acidic magma. So mostly sills are made up of gabbros, dolerites and basalt. So this you have to keep in mind always. Sills will be very common in gabbros, then dolerites and basalt. Okay. Then this spreads parallel to the bedding plane of the rock, hence concordant in nature. So in the case dike, we said that they are discordant, but in the case of sill, they are concordant in nature. Why? Because they are parallelly spreading to the bedding plane. Here you can see this limestone, sandstone, mudstone. This is the three layers. Here it is mudstone. Then here you can see the intrusion of, this is actually a dike. Only this portion may be called as a dike, and this is a sill. This is a sill. Here it is being intruded. So this can be considered as a dike, and this is the sill. So that's the main reason why the sills and dikes are related. Okay. So here you can see the sill. Then just above that you can see another layer of sandstone. Just above that you can see another layer of limestone. Okay. This is how it looks like. Okay. Then next is laccolith. Laccolith, they are nothing but it is a concordant body with flat bottom and convex upward. It is a dome shaped. So laccolith, yeah. Here you can see this is a dome shape. This is how laccolith look like. It is a dome shaped ones. Okay. Then how these are formed? When the viscous magma is injected rapidly along the bedding and it is cannot spread, it pushes in the upper overlaying layers and keep on filling up. What happens when viscous magma is injected here? It cannot move further. So what will happen? It will rapes. So it will raise the upper layers. So usually what will happen? All these layers will push in opposite direction. So when this rapes in all raised direction, what will happen? This overlaying layers will keep on filling up. So it will form a dome shape. So it is caused because of the flooding of the overlaying rock layers. Okay. So this is how a laccolith look like. Yeah. The next form is a bismullith. Bismullith, it is cylindrically shaped body. So some cylindrical shaped bodies are bismullith. You can see here. Then this bismullith, they are developed when highly viscous magma is injected because the lateral spreading along the bedding is less than. Okay. Yeah. Here you can see. This is actually a bismullith. That is, laterally it won't spread much. Okay, lateral spreading is less. You can see laterally it won't spread. That is in this areas. It is not laterally spreading, but here you can see a massive amount of spreading. That is, it causes breaking of rock layers. This rock layers will be breaking because hundreds of meters it may extend. You can see the width is extending up to hundreds of meters. Okay, so such a huge intrusion is known as bismullith. Then next is batholith. Okay, they are the largest kind of the plutons, that is irregular in shape and occupies a large area. So batholith are, when compared to this bismullith, they are little more larger. Okay, so that is their side sloping away from each other, which makes them larger. Why this batholith are larger is that the side sloping away from each other, that is larger and larger downwards to the depth. When moves to the depth, it will be getting larger and larger. That's why the reason these batholiths are more larger, or this occupies a large area. Then their occurrence is commonly associated with the mountain building process, that is orogeny. As we know, orogeny is the process, that is mountain building process. So usually this batholith, they are usually occurring along with the orogeny process. Then these are either granites or granodiorites. Usually batholith are of either granites or granodiorites in their composition. This is how a batholith occurs. Okay, this is how a batholith occurs. That is tens of maybe kilometers it may extend. Okay, usually this is associated with the formation of orogeny, that is the mountain building process. Okay, then in the top portion you can see a portion is named stock, that is stock and batholith. It is associated the large area. This is known as batholith and the short area is known as stock. Okay. Then stocks are a small irregular bodies with 10 km in maximum dimension and are associated with batholith. So this is only 10 kilometers. So if it is 10 kilometers means it is a stock. If it is more than that or 100 to something means it will be batholith. Okay, here you can see the big rock south. This is actually a batholith. An imagery is taken just to know how the batholith look like. Here you can see top portion is not much, but the later portion is somewhat very high. Okay, the next is facholith. Facholith, they are nothing but these are concordant bodies that occurs along the crust and the trough of the folded sedimentary strata. That is, in some sedimentary strata, this is easily you can identify. This is the crust and trough portion. In the crust and trough portion, this occurs. Then they are saucer shaped bodies, lopolith. Here you can see lopolith. This is a saucer. This is a lopolith and this looks like a saucer shaped bodies and flat, nearly flat and convex bottom. The bottom portion is always convex and the top portion is always a flat. Okay, and this usually diameter is 150 miles. Okay, this is lopolith. You can see here lopolith and this one is a facholith. Okay. Then finally, the last one is conolith. Okay, conolith, the term is applied to all the other intrusive igneous bodies with irregular shape, and that is body with no specific shape. Okay, what is that? Now we have said various names or various forms of igneous bodies. Other than this, what all the irregular bodies which are present as igneous forms, everything will comes under this conolith. Okay, yes. For example, volcanic neck or volcanic plug. So it is a cylindrically conduct that fed magma upward the volcanic vent, or it is a conduct of the ancient volcano. So that may be considered, it is an elliptical, sometimes circular, sometimes an irregular body. So these are filled or these are filled up with the crystalline rocks, maybe of circular, elliptical or irregular, where in this volcanic neck portion or in the volcanic plug portion. Here you can see that this is a volcanic dike, this is a volcanic neck. See, this volcanic neck is completely filled with various types of rocks. This is also a kind of various igneous forms. Okay, that is during the volcanism, the volcanic neck is actually left over and it is being crystallized. So the rocks are being crystallized in the volcanic neck and it is being preserved like this. Okay. Yes. Thank you.